Hi, I'm Dr. James Eric McDonough, also known as Doc Justice. I'm not only a civil rights activist, but I'm also an investigative journalist for photography'snotacrime.com, also known as PINAC. I'd like to talk to you today about a major victory I had in the courthouse in Miami at the state level. I had sued the city of Homestead, which is in the southern end of Miami-Dade County, for records violations for knowingly and willfully refusing to provide me with records and also refusing to allow me to personally inspect the records. This comes right off my win 3 weeks ago from the United States Circuit Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. In that case, I had sued Catherine Fernandez-Rundle for threatening my First Amendment rights to record police officers. And this case follows the precedent that was set in 2000 in Smith v. City of Cummins, also in the 11th Circuit, which held the First Amendment protects the right to gather information, and it pretty much establishes that we can record police officers. Since then, every odd circuit in the federal circuit has ruled that we have a right to record police officers. The 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and 11th circuits, and we now have the 11th Circuit again ruling this. My story started back in late 2012 when I asked a Homestead police officer, Alejandro Merguido, who lives 8 houses down from me, to drive respectfully and obey the law because I was concerned that his reckless driving was an endangerment to my children and the other children in the neighborhood. Since then, I've been repeatedly retaliated against, and as I've tried to file complaints, they continue to retaliate against me. This has led to 3 false arrests, as well as 5 false detainments, as well as repeated violations of my First Amendment rights, as well as violations of my 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendment rights as well. We would ask that you would continue to follow PINAC. We should have a story published soon about these victories, and you can find out further background information at my Facebook page, truehomestead.com. I'd ask that you like it, and thank you. Coming from Doc Justice.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions, Eric. Now,
yes, sir.
Now, there was a time when they actually came after your wife as well. Tell us about that.
Yes, sir. I was exposing my evidence on LEOAFFAIRS, the Homestead forum of LEOAFFAIRS, which is the largest police blog in the world. Me publishing my video showing Chief Rolle committed records destruction as I recorded him in the meeting is what led to me getting threatened by the state attorney, but also additionally, as I was exposing the evidence of the crimes of these police officers who committed against me, they decided to write that I had falsely, that I had been thrown in a mental institution and Baker acted because my wife sleeps with cops. And I have screenshots of approximately 130 comments where they write in explicit, gory detail of all the alleged sexual encounters they've had with my wife and how she's climaxed and screamed. And they have it all on video. I even challenged them for attacking an uninvolved family member, and they responded that as I had filed a complaint against them, and me filing complaints hurts their jobs, it was only fair for them to attack me and all my family members. This is not actions we would expect from honorable law enforcement. This is the kind of actions that we would expect from the mafia.
Now, what ever happened with that, or did anything ever happen with that?
Right now, I filed another lawsuit, pro se without an attorney, against John Does 1 through 10, and I filed a subpoena with LEOAFFAIRS, the website, and I'm working on retrieving their internet IP addresses, at which point I will file a second subpoena with the internet service provider, and they'll provide me the detailed information, name and address of the people who are making the comments.
Now, tell us briefly what happened with Chief Rolle that led to Catherine Fernandez-Rundle threatening you with prison.
Yes, sir. After I got out of jail the first time, I had 10 years of felony charges over top of my head. After about a year, when all the...
What these charges were?
The charges were felony aggravated stalking of a police officer and felony corruption through threatening a police officer.
Because you told him to drive safely.
Because I told him to drive safely and obey the law. Thank God when I spoke to him, I had recorded the conversation and have a recording of the conversation, which completely contradicts his written sworn statements. And so when all the charges were dismissed against me, I went and met with Chief Rolle to file a complaint against Merguido, and I provided him with lots of evidence proving Merguido's malfeasance against me, and I also recorded that meeting. And after the meeting was over, when they finally closed out the internal affairs files, none of the evidence I had provided Chief Rolle was in there, but Chief Rolle had inserted a piece of paper into the record saying that my statements were false, and as well as my evidence. That led to me filing a records request for the evidence I gave to Chief Rolle. Chief Rolle came on the record stating that I had given him no documents. And so I used the recording of the meeting and the chain from the records request to make a video that I also uploaded to YouTube as well as LEOAFFAIRS, showing the chief had committed at least 3 felonies: official misconduct with corrupt intent, destroying official records, falsifying official records, and preventing the transmission of my evidence, which relates to a felony directly affecting his department. Because I exposed his crimes, he then went to the state attorney's office. Actually, he went to 3 agencies: the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, the Miami-Dade Police Department, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, initially trying to have me arrested for cyber stalking for making a video. All 3 agencies refused to arrest me for this, so then they changed their game up a little bit and tried to come at me for wiretap violations, which is also a 5-year felony. No agency would arrest me, but the state attorney's office sent me a letter threatening me with felony prosecution if I were to again record a police officer without first getting their permission. So I don't take threats against my First Amendment rights very well, so I filed the first lawsuit ever. I filed in federal court against our state attorney, Katherine Fernandez-Rundle, which I just won at the appellate level 3 weeks ago.
And she, in her 20-plus years as state attorney, how many cops has she prosecuted for killing people?
In the 24 years since she's taken over for our last state attorney, Janet Reno, she has not prosecuted one single officer for an on-duty shooting leading to a death. She did recently prosecute one officer. I can't remember the name of the story. It was where there was the mental kid who was in the street and his daycare worker was laying down next to him with his hands up. Everybody knew the kid had a gun. There wasn't a threat. But one officer with his AR-15 fired off, I believe it was 3 rounds, striking the worker in the leg. And she has pursued charges against that, but only after her party, the Democratic Party, who she's the highest elected Democrat in the county, has 3 or 4 times now voted demanding her resignation to try to cover for her not prosecuting officers, including the recent Darren Rainey case where 4 correctional officers basically melted a black schizophrenic man in a shower at the jail. She refused to prosecute for that, which has caused extreme pressure and heat against her. And to try to save face, she prosecuted the one officer for the shooting, but she's never prosecuted an officer for a killing in her 24 years as our state attorney.
Right, and she only prosecuted that officer after the Miami New Times came out with a very hard-hitting expose talking about her history of not prosecuting cops. Exactly.
Like I said, it was only a face-saving prosecution. I'm not sure they'll even adequately and properly investigate and prosecute the case. I have very little faith in our state attorney, as her own party has no faith in her.
Okay.
True Homestead shared photography is not a crime, S video. 12 HRS. Interview after court Monday on my public records win. Waiting for full video. Photography is not a crime. 13 HRS. PNUC reporter James Eric McDonough speaks about his recent pro-SE public records legal victory after a judge ruled in his favor Monday at the Miami-Dade County Courthouse. He also talks about his other pro-SE legal victory earlier this month establishing the right to record cops in their own offices without informing them, a lawsuit he filed after Miami-Dade State Attorney Katherine Fernandez-Rundle threatened to arrest him for felony wiretapping when he exposed a local police chief to be a dirty liar covering up for dirty cops. Fernandez-Rundle, the top-ranking Democrat in Miami-Dade, has recently been disowned by her own party after she refused to file charges against several corrections officers who burned a mentally ill inmate to death in a scalding shower. The backlash was also a result of a Miami New Times investigative report that showed she has not once filed charges against cops who killed during her 24-year reign at the country's top prosecutor, even though there have been tons of questionable killings. We will be publishing a more detailed story later this week. And we will soon post a video of the court hearing, which we recorded.
Good evening. My name is Dr. James Eric McDonough. You have my address on file. First, I would like to discuss the continued defamation of character carried out by city employees and elected officials against me, who apparently think it's okay to spread false rumors or write on official documents that I was Baker acted and thrown in a mental institution is a way to discredit me. Anyone preferring not to find themselves as a defendant in a defamation or civil rights lawsuit is strongly advised to stop spreading such lies about me, and I'd like to let you know I already know who you are. Second, I would like to bring to the attention of the city that Merguido was off duty when he defamed me, and the city should not be defending him. I just gave you evidence proving this, but if you could let City Attorney Zeskine kindly stop making false statements that Merguido was on duty and get him to stop attempting to mislead judges, I would greatly appreciate that. In light of this, the city and Mr. Zeskine might want to find a new legal justification for the defense of Merguido other than Florida Statute 111.07, as Merguido was not acting within the scope of his employment. Third, I would like to address the knowing and willful violation of the public records law perpetrated by Public Information Officer Zachary Good, City Clerk Elizabeth Sewell, and City Attorney Sam Zeskine. They've all refused to allow me to personally inspect public records, as is my right under Florida Statute 119.07, Section 1, Paragraph A. However, I would like to thank Mr. Good and Ms. Sewell for, on the record, acknowledging the law, but claiming they were going to follow city policy and instructions of others anyway in violation of the law. It's also noted that Zachary Good sent false and defamatory statements to the media referencing me and Mr. Hill, and is now refusing to provide the records of who gave him these false statements, likely leading to more needless litigation. Fourth, I would like to address the fact that people cannot legally be trespassed from public property open to the public, and citizens have a right to use such space under both the Florida and U.S. constitutions. You might want to inform your officers of this key point of the law. Catron v. City of St. Petersburg would be a really great place to start. I then must thank John Thomas Monaco for not only falsifying his arrest narrative when him and Garland Wright falsely arrested me, but for also making the same false statements again under oath. I really appreciate that. In this respect, I would also like to thank Detective David Matta for also lying under oath in deposition. Surely they all knew cameras were recording every detail, and their actions in helping me expose corrupt and lying officers within the Homestead Police Department has been invaluable here. So again, I would like to thank them for their efforts. Lastly, I would like to thank Garland Wright for stating under oath the day of the August meeting that Manager Gressis had a closed meeting in his office with Chief Roll, Officer Wright, and others discussing trespassing me. A clearer picture of a retaliation against my rights by Homestead Police Department being led by Chief Roll could not be had.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You know, Homestead's kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what false charge you're going to get. Y'all have a great evening. Good night. Look forward to seeing you next year in the deposition.
Mr. Kim Hill? Mr. Kim Hill?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vanessa McDonough, and you also have my address already on file. I just wanted to come and address a couple of things. I find it generally disgusting the way a lot of these people that come up here and speak are treated. There's flagrant ignoring people, writing things down. Just people are taking the time out of their day to come here. They may be City of Homestead residents, and may be people affected by things being done in the City of Homestead. Give them the time and pay attention to what they're doing, at least put on the pretense that you care for what people are saying. Which leads me to my next point. I came here a couple of months ago with a very valid concern about what was most likely City of Homestead police officers making really atrocious comments about me online, about the various sexual favors I perform for them, all the different disgusting, lewd sexual positions they engage in with me. I provided each of you a copy of this. It was a preponderance of evidence that this was City of Homestead officers saying these things about me, all of which are not true. I feel like I don't need to say that. I gave the clerk an official complaint package, which was then handed to Detective Harris the next day. It took him less than 6 hours to give me a call and say, dismissed, no basis for investigation. I'm just dumbfounded that you could make that decision that quickly with the level of evidence I gave. But yet, it was okay for the Homestead Police to arrest my husband on an alleged charge that was far less severe than what was done to me. And by the way, that charge was dismissed, as was the other one, because there was no base for those charges. So I would really ask if any of you up here, if it was your wife who was being libeled all over the internet, would you just allow that to happen and think it was okay to dismiss an investigation because a police officer might be revealed as the person behind these acts? I don't think so. So I would ask Chief ROLLE and the police department to dig a little deeper and maybe take these complaints seriously and do your job and investigate them. It's disgusting. And just in general, the madness has to stop. There's corruption in the city. It's not systemic yet, but when you cover up for the bad apples, you just make this pile higher and higher and higher. Please, deal with the corruption from the inside. Don't attack the whistleblowers. They are innocent. They are calling out the problems, and what do? Instead, you arrest them, you trespass them. I know it's not easy to hear criticism. Nobody likes it, but that's not the way to deal with it. I'm coming here genuinely concerned for this city, and it's not going to get better unless you deal with the corruption inside. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Vanessa McDonough, and I come here tonight with a deeply disturbing issue. I feel violated by actions of some of your officers. I now fear for my life and safety, as well as that of my family. While retaliating against my husband for his disputes with the city, Homestead officers have targeted me by publishing my name, address, occupation, and place of work online. Then they crossed all lines of decency and violated Florida law by sexually harassing me online to the point of cyberstalking and committing criminal defamation against me. The screenshots that I just provided to each of you are from the website LEOAFFAIRS.com. There are repeated instances of untrue, disturbing, and downright vulgar statements being made about me. I had initially intended to come here and read some of these statements aloud to you, for the effect to see how vulgar they are. But verbalizing these statements could be misinterpreted as being disorderly, and I do not wish to be the next person trespassed or arrested for attending these meetings. So I hope instead you can take a few minutes to read through what I have provided to you. Keep in mind that these packets show only a fraction of the 130 plus comments made about me and my family on that website. And again, I warn you, they are graphic and vulgar, and of course 100% untrue. As you review these screenshots, I hope that you, like me, are shocked that officers that have sworn to serve and protect this community are attacking an innocent person in this manner. Mayor Porter, please consider how you would feel if these awful things were said about your wife. And Chief ROLLE, would you tolerate these challenges to your wife's chastity? So my purpose for coming here tonight is to make you aware of this situation, if you are not already aware of these atrocious statements online. And I'm requesting the following. First, I would like a proper investigation to determine who in your department made these comments. Secondly, I need a guarantee that those involved will be properly disciplined so that similar attacks will not occur in the future. And lastly, I'm going to file an official complaint and criminal charges against those individuals responsible. I'll be providing the full packet of my complaint and evidence tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is not easy to do, but at this point, I feel it is necessary to share these screenshots so that those of you who have followed the ongoing story of my husband, James Eric McDonough, battling the corruption that runs rampant throughout the city of Homestead and Homestead's police department can see the type of people we are dealing with. These screenshots are from www.LEOAFFAIRS.com, which is a privately owned website that offers open access to everyone. My husband has often posted on these sites to engage in discussion and expose evidence of crimes. I have never posted on that site, and I never intend to. However, that did not stop them from bringing my name into the battle and completely trashing me. The first two screenshots show their pitiful explanations as to why they feel justified in completely bashing me. All of the remaining slides are some asterisk examples of the horrible and degrading things they wrote about me. Several things bother me about these posts. First and foremost is the fact that none of it is true. It is 100% libel. Second, they post my full name and job title, putting my professional integrity at risk. If someone searches my name online in regards to my job at Biscayne, it is possible that these ridiculous posts come up in the search results. Third, these so-called public servants who post these awful statements do so under the guise of anonymity. Fourth, my husband was wrongfully arrested for posting on these same blogs. As embarrassing and demeaning as it is for me to see these horrible, untrue statements about me printed online, I think it is necessary for people to see the level of depravity that is systemic in Homestead. Please share so we can spread the word about how awful these people truly are.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and as you've heard from me before, there is a place online called LEOAFFAIRS.com where all the cops go to do their chat, and it's open and you can go there anonymously and chat with them, but unfortunately, this is getting to be the place too where they threaten you, your family, your kids, your wife. They post your address. I mean, that's not to send you flowers. If they post it in there, man, as corrupt as these cops are, that's a threat. But as you see, this is a Homestead Police Department. There's a patriot over there that works with PINAC, Photography is Not a Crime, that's been multiple times kicked out of the city councils, which violates his free speech, and they've arrested him multiple times, and he's documenting it all, you know, he's fighting the charges because they're bogus, because they're lying, and it is getting really bad. You know, support this guy, you know, connect with them, say, hey, this is bull crap, you know, of course, maybe, you know, go to the Homestead Police Department on Leo Affairs and chat in there and say this is insane. Another thing too that I was telling him is that you know too, what I've been doing is screen grab everything, make, you know, and video everything, put it on Facebook, put it on YouTube. You gotta let other people know that these people are true thugs. They're literally threatening his family here. They outed him on his address like they did me, and they're freaking threatening his family. His wife had nothing to do with this, and now they're including her in here. I mean, so we're gonna scroll through. I haven't actually read some of this, but man, this is bad, man. This is nuts. Look at this. Reflecting meaning in life, we have family, our ability to feed. Follow, don't agree. Consequences, you cannot eat your cake and have it too. So if you say anything, we will crucify you here, basically, and illegally arrest you, and etc. Policy telling you realize you're in trouble. You know, the reporter and Gruntalis personal capacity. Leave the bill on these schmucks. And my attorney has a client who got almost $100,000 just for being stopped from speaking at a city council meeting. I'm sure that these two could split an award. Gruntalis has a nice boat I could put a lien on. I wonder if they realize they have crossed their past official duty violation. See, this is what I'm saying. This is, wow, man. You posted glad I went out to see the frustration. A fool has been slapped his whole life. Encouraged to stand up. Encouraged to deal in paper. When Jimmy Little Mouse that squeals, look in the mirror so you can understand. Your wife goes cops, finds satisfied. She likes real man. This is why they hate us. This is, man. Wow. Look, please tell us how you Baker acted when you found out it was a cop that was doing your wife. Please give us the side of your story, little man. Wow. Chief, you forgot to advise little. He once put the toilet seat down. Little Jimmy almost fell on when he sat to pee. That, as you know, is violation of civil rights. Oh my God. Little Jimmy is also claiming illegal search and seizure for sticking his deep into his lovely Vanessa and giving her a good effing. He will probably claim excessive force. Vanessa gave consent, which she never withdrew. Therefore, no civil rights. People, wake up, man. You got to get in these chat rooms. You got to screen grab it. You got to turn into videos. These are your paid cops saying this crap. Holy Jesus. It's not your, who's banging your wife in the park. Wow. Wow. I was just blowjob for your knowing of his thing. Oh my God. Finest attacks. Everyone knows the joke reflects Homestead. Yeah, but your wife sure likes us. Wow. Seems to not understand each other. We have all families and kids about a foamy mouth and mention your wife. Ah! Wow. This is cruel and unusual punishment, a violation of the 8th Amendment on your part. She deserves justice. Therefore, continue to penetrate her. It is not a violation of the force. Yes, there is government. It is an intrusion in part of the penis. Therefore, it is considered a search since it goes so deep and it serves her. She's slammed over and over. You hear her scream. However, we covered since gave us consent, duration, seizure, gave it freely and voluntarily. However, knowing that the argument enticement might be used by you, since managed the climax and covered the good faith defense, we believe it was the best interest to give her a good fucking since she was, of course, wow. Wow. This is cruel and unusual punishment, violation of the 8th. Oh my God. And for the force is not unreasonable. It was an amount of force reasonable and necessary to achieve her satisfaction. Therefore, totality of circumstances, officers, moment, force, Graham Connor. Furthermore, she did not object to use. In fact, she really liked it. Yep, I need sleeping pills if I was unaware of the man. Come on. Oh my God. This is bad. Wow. Anyways, this is why I'm making a video. This is how bad it's getting. I'm going to put a link to this chat room in here so you can go in and help defend this guy. Share this on Facebook. Share it on YouTube. Let more people know that this is your paid cops doing this insanity. So not only do they violate the law in public, they're violating the law in here. Unreal, man. What do you think?